I'm going to do O-line technique, okay? And if you weren't in here before, if you just came in for the O-line, my name is Bruce Cobleigh. I'm head coach for 30 years, so 28 years. And right now I'm an offensive coordinator for one of my former assistants that took a job at Roswell. And last year we were 14-1, went to the state championship game, lost to Colquitt County. But what I did, and I explained to these guys, why am I talking youth? Talking youth because I go into my youth and I spend tons of time in my youth. Because if the youth does my system of fundamentals and basic offense and defense and special teams, by the time they get to me, I'm championship caliber. Every team I've ever taken over, and when I got my first head job in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, they hadn't had a winning season in 48 years. And I set records as a first-year coach. I was the only coach to not win a game. I went 0-10. Everybody else at least won one game. I didn't win any. 3 years later, we won the state championship. We won it because I took the whole year and worked in my youth program. I didn't even work with those freaking high school guys because they didn't have, they weren't bought in. They didn't have the system in themselves. They didn't really want to play football. So we'd do our 2 hours of practice, and I'd go to every youth practice I had. The entire year I went down there, okay? And I went down with my 9th graders, my 8th graders, my 7th graders, my 6th graders. 3 years later, we won state championship, and we won 3 in a row, right, with those kids that we pushed. From then on, I knew, and the only reason I did it is it probably wasn't, wasn't any revelation on my part. I'm like, dude, if I don't get this right, I'm getting fired, all right? So I went down there out of necessity. And so when I went down there, I asked the guys, well, how many head coaches that come down and ever talk to you? They go, nobody. And I said, oh, okay. So we went down and we worked with them, and we got together as a group. It wasn't like you do this or you're fired. It was like a team thing. I try to talk to, I let them guys have their own individual stuff that they wanted to do somewhat, and we kept evolving it. And then I took a new school. I went to Georgia, outside Atlanta, 28 miles outside Atlanta, and it was a brand new school. So I started with sophomores and freshmen. So I did the same thing. I went down, I worked with my youth program more than I worked with anybody. And I found out that when you do that and you have a progression, that you can win a lot of football games, because we played for the state championship game. We had a brand new school open. I mean, sophomores only. 8 years later, we're in the state championship game. All right? Why? Because of the youth program and doing the same things from this big to that big. All right? I'm going to talk about the O-line system, and this system is going to have high school guys in there. You're going to say, well, those are high school guys. But I use my youth just like it. Now, I might not do as many drills with them, but I'm going to do the same specific things. I'm going to teach the stance the same way, the start, everything's the same. It's just with smaller guys. And, they're going to learn not as quickly, but you do as much as you can do, and you put a little in each week, and you want to have a lot of tools in your toolbox. And like I was saying with youth guys, you can keep those guys busy. Because if you want to be talking coach, those kids are going to be running around, pulling everybody's pants down, kicking them in the head, doing all that stuff they do, like herding cats. So I'm going to talk about the O-line system. I'm going to have some youth stuff interspersed with it. I'm going to kind of talk about what I did. It says up there, hands technique. And, I used to be a big shoulder block guy, and I used to think the youth should do that. But we've turned our whole youth program to using our hands and flipper, both. And that's what I do with my varsity. So, basically they go, like when I go and get all my X's and O's, and basically I go to 3 places where I get my stuff. I go to Auburn, I go to Clemson, and then my good friend Noel Mazzoni at UCLA over here, and now he's at Texas A&M. I go to his practice once a year, and I work his camps. So I get most of my stuff from there. I put their stuff, I could say, like you say, well, hey, those are college kids, and I can't do that with my guys. I can do it with my guys. I might not do as much as they do. I might not do as well as they do it, but I can do it because it's just fundamentals, all right? So first thing I'm going to do here is we're going to work, with youth. It's really important, but it's important with everybody. You have to have it organized. So if you're going to have an offensive line, and you go, okay, let's go over to this field over here, and you go over a field and there's just bags over there, good luck with that. We have a grid. And I learned this grid from Bobby Wiley and Jim McNally, NFL guys. And what they do is say, hey, the pros ain't any different. You have to have a place for them to go and line up. So when we do our youth program, I run tons of youth camps, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-olds, whatever. And we have these 5x5 squares. And we put those 5x5 squares out there, and we line our players up depending upon position. So, and then we're going to take all our steps and all our footwork on the grid so I can see where they're lined up, plus they know where they're going to go. All right, so I go, all right, guys, over there on the grid. Now, it doesn't matter what grade or level they are, they'll run over there and get in their spot. If you tell them to run over there and pick up a bag, this guy's lying on the bag, the other guy's kicking them and pushing them, you know the whole drill. But if they know where to go, we're going to get them over on that grid. Now, we use 5x5 squares, 5-yard squares. If I was youth guys, I use 3x3. Everything's got to be cut down. So, like, when I run routes, for example, and I'm talking to Mazzoni, if he might have a 16 to 14-yard route, I got to pull that to 14 to 12 for my guys. And you might have to pull that 10 to 8 or something. So you might have to, because they're smaller, they don't go as fast. They don't cover as much ground. So you just got to kind of adjust the distances and the size of the things for what your guys are going to do. So basically, here, and these are some of my linemen, but I put the grids up like I do the junior program. These are 3x3 grids, okay? So they're 3x3. For my guys, the big guys, that's kind of small for them. But for your guys, it's pretty good. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our stance. So we're going to get them on the grid. So here, that's my center, that's my right guard, that's my right tackle, and over here is my left. And I put them on the lines. I say, I want your toes on the intersecting line. So I'm going to put my toes on the line, and I'm going to see all their footwork. We want a balanced stance. And I always suggest everybody use a balanced stance, all right? And, we have one guy that stands up like this because he broke it, but I'm going to get my guys in a stance, okay? And so when I get them in a stance, I'm going to get them on the grid. And now, for my high school guys now, they know where they're supposed to be, and I just put them on the turf because I can't make a grid on turf. I don't want to paint it on there. But if you don't have turf and can't get them on a line, I would paint those darn lines so they know where to go. All right, so I'm going to get my stance. So I'm going to start with my stance. All right, when I start with my stance, I'm going to get them down like this, and I'm going to get evenly balanced, both feet together, toes even, and I'm going to get them sitting here like this. Okay, so I got their hands on their, slightly on their thighs. I'm going to reach my hand out because this is what happens. Tell me if this doesn't happen. I get into a stance, they go like this, they put their hands straight down, and they do that. I mean, I don't know how many times I see that little squat thing, all right? What you want to do is you want to make sure that their hand is out at 45 degrees. So we sit down like this, we put the hand out, and we make them reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out, get them down like this, and I want air slightly under my heels. So what I do is I'm going to have them reach out like this, reach, just like that, and then I'm going to have them drop it on the ground so I get that here. Or otherwise, I'm going to have that little duck thing, all right? I want eyes to the sky. I want eyes up. I don't want them looking down on the ground. Because if you do, they're going to squat down and they're going to look down on the ground. All right? So I put their hand up, and I reach, 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 and I put it down. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn a duck walk. I'm going to do it with my young guys, everybody. Okay? Excuse me, losing my voice. All right, we're duck walking because when we make contact, you want to hit on the rise, and you want all the power comes from here, all right, this position. All right, so you want all your weight on the inside part of your thighs. So when you're driving, you don't want to run like this. You can't have no power like that. You want to get your butt down, and you want to use the outside part of your thighs, and it's going to pound into the ground like this. Okay? So to work that, we got work from grid square to grid square, and we're going to get them working their hands and getting their inside part of their feet pounding on the inside of the ground. So we're going to drive that duck walk up the field. So we're going to go from grid square to grid square, or we're going to go from line to line. So we're going to start the duck work. That's the first thing we do. All right? Then we're going to do our duck demeanor. Now, this I would not do with your guys, youth guys, until down the road, because you're putting like 2 or 3 drills in one. So you'd have to work this first. But this is what we would go to next. And once you get your pass kick slides in, you can do duck walk forward, duck walk backward, and then your kick slides for your pass protection all in one in about 30 seconds. All right? So here we're going to duck walk, and we're going to duck walk back. Then I'm going to go like this, out forward. I'm going to go this. We're going to kick slide. I'm going to go that way. My hand's in the way. And then I'm just moving them. Duck walking back, duck walking back and forth and kick sliding. So we call that our duck demeanor drill. Okay? So what are you working? You're working your duck step, and we're working the kick slide. Okay, now, I think this is just another one. Okay, now we really want those hands working when we're duck walking, even though we're kind of power up and probably not do that when we go.